Good day, everybody. I hope you're all having a good day. Welcome to Learning to Paint, where you're going to watch me learn to paint. This is what, stream 11? Or is it 10? I might have numbered it wrong. Well, today we're going to, as you see on my palette, we're going to try the basic paint set. If you want to, you can paint along with me. I did look this over and give it a run through earlier, and I was hoping to be able to dry clean the brushes, or the brush, because it only comes with one brush, in between. But the way they load paint, you might not be able to dry clean it enough. So I would suggest using some thinner. I'm going to clean the brush. Anytime it asks for a clean brush, I will clean it in thinner. So if you're painting along with me, you might want to have some thinner if you're doing this on a replay. And if you're doing it now, I hope you have some thinner. If not, you can try to dry clean it. I don't know how it's going to work, though. So another thing I wanted to say is someone asked me the other day why I use a paper canvas instead of buying canvases. One is to save on the cost. If I was to say buy the Bob Ross canvas, they're upwards of $10 a piece. You can buy a pack of 6, or it's almost, I think it's $70. So that's over $10. And another reason why I use paper is storage. Canvases are big. For example, here's 3 canvases. That takes up a good amount of space. You don't think so until you look at this pile of canvases where there is, I believe I counted 47. So there's 47 paintings versus the 3 done on actual canvases. So that's another great reason to It says I was muted. Why did it do that? I don't know when that muted, so I'll say that again. Here's the Bob Ross Basic set. Comes with titanium white, cad yellow, phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, and some sap green, and a bottle of liquid white. Of course, the knife and the 1-inch brush. So you should shake this liquid white very well. Make sure it's mixed well, because it does separate. It will separate back into, it's basically, I think, a mixture of titanium white and linseed oil. And it does separate. So make sure you shake it up very well. All right, let's get these out. What I use for my palette is it's a glass cutting board, actually, a tempered glass cutting board that I tape a piece of freezer paper to, the wax side up of the freezer paper, and it works perfectly. You can actually clean it off and use it 2 or 3 times before you have to throw it away if you really want to. And then for the titanium, for the liquid white, in the little jar, I have a small paper plate that I'm going to put a little bit out on. So I'm just shaking up the liquid white. You also notice the canvas is in a portrait position, or landscape this time. And I also adjusted my camera. Hopefully you get a better view of what I'm doing on the canvas. I moved it over to the side some more. I made some room over there. All right, so I shook this up well. Let's get it open and put a little bit out. All right, take the seal off. It does have a little seal on it. Put that over there for now. I'll put a little bit out on this paper plate. You do not need much. What we do is just clean up this with the brush. Okay. So now I'm going to coat the canvas with a very thin coat of the liquid white. So we're going to put a little bit on your brush, come up. What I do normally is tap some on and then spread it out and really rub it in. You need to have a thin, even coat on the canvas. And you can kind of tell, you'll see if you look at it, the canvas will look wet. Also, the new brush, you will see a bunch of little hairs start to come out. Just use the edge of the brush to pick them off and wipe it off on a paper towel. And you'll be all set. Let's add a little more. Just add this a little at a time. I would suggest it's easier to add more than it is to take it off. Just rub it in here. And once it's coated, I'll go over it with horizontal and vertical strokes. We'll see in a second. You do just need a very thin layer of this one here. Rub it in. Spread it out. Need to put a little more out. Wait. Like I said, you'd rather go light than heavy with this. I mean, you can just wipe it off with a paper towel if you put too much, but it's easier to just put it a little lighter. And put that up. Please let me know in the comments if you're watching this on replay if the camera angle is better for you. Ooh. Brush is dirty. So you should be able to feel where the canvas is wet versus dry too. As you're going over with the long strokes, you'll feel it grab a dry spot. Just go over it a few times to get it to spread out. And you want to do these long vertical and horizontal strokes. Make sure it's spread even. This is what I normally do before I start a stream, is to prep the canvas like this. So you don't have to sit through this. Picking up a little paint from the background over there. I had painted earlier and it's on the back of the stand. All right, now that we've got that coated, we do a little test. And you take your hand and just lightly touch the palette or the canvas at different spots and make sure that If you can see that, I can just see my fingerprints through the white. So I think there's enough. Over and get rid of the fingerprints. I think we're ready to go. So now, I do have the book. I'm going to be following along the book. So first thing we're going to do after applying the liquid white is we're going to load a little bit of cad yellow onto the brush. Open this up. Sometimes when you open up a new tube of paint, there might be a collection of oil at the very top. What I do is I take a paper towel and I just turn it over and touch it to my finger. And it usually will draw out that oil. I don't know if you probably can't see that. Not enough light. But next to the little spot of paint is a wet spot from the oil that got sucked up. Okay, I think we got it. So now I'm going to put a little bit out. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to dry clean it on a paper towel just to get rid of the excess liquid white that's on there. I'm just giving it a good rubbing on the towel. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit, pull this out, and just tap lightly into it. So there's just a little bit of paint on the brush because it says load the 1-inch brush with a very small amount of cad yellow. And you tap it firmly on the palette. Now we're going to add the yellow right about the horizon line. We're going to start little X strokes. And just add a little color to the canvas. And we're going to go down. So if there's water down here, it'll be reflected in it. Take a little bit more. There's barely any color on this brush. Okay. Right. There we go. Some nice yellow, kind of bright. I think adjust the brightness. I don't think I can. Let me see. Not doing anything? Nope. That's the wrong way. Yeah, that's a little better. All right, so now, without cleaning the brush, we're going to go into a little bit of alizarin crimson. I'm going to do the same thing. Take my paper towel, the new tube, just see if there's any oil at the end. Don't look like, oh yeah, there's some oil there. Get rid of that oil. Let's put a little bit of crimson out. I'm going to do the same thing. A little bit of crimson. Just tap the brush to load it. Let's see how that is. And right at the edge of the yellow, I'm going to add a little expanse of the crimson. Oops, oh, a little darker. Okay. Bring it up to about there. Okay. It says crisscross strokes above and below, so the crimson is in the water too. Okay, so we'll tap, add some more, put some down the bottom. Kind of mimic what the top's doing. Kind of looks like a big eye. All right. So now, without cleaning the brush, we're going to reload it with a little bit of alizarin crimson and some phthalo blue. So again, open up the tube of phthalo blue, grab the paper towel, squeeze it just a hair to bring it up, and then touch it so the oil comes out. This one had a lot of oil. And it's just the separation from sitting in the box for so long. All right, so let's put a little bit of blue out right next to it. Just a little. We'll be putting out much more color in a minute. This is just for the sky and water. Now, we'll go into the blue a little bit, and then back into the crimson. And it's going to make a nice purple color, hopefully. And a little more crimson than blue. All right. So, I'm going to take crisscross strokes across the top. Add some lavender up here. A pretty cool looking sky. Looks pretty good. Now we're going to reload the brush with more of the lavender. I ain't got much left here. I might have to put a little more crimson out to get some more lavender. We're going to add that at the bottom for some water. So I'm just going to put a dab of crimson out here. Get the crimson, some blue. And then come in from the side. I'm very close to my table over here, so. To about there. On this side. About there. All right. It says with the lavender still on the brush, I'm going to add a little bit more. Just tap to add some clouds. Put a cloud up like that. Something like that. Cloud shapes. We have some cloud shapes. So now, this is where it says to clean and dry the brush. Because we're going to blend, we need to blend the whole canvas. And with the dirty brush, it's going to mess up the canvas. I don't think we'll be able to dry clean it enough. So I'm going to clean it in the paint, the odorless paint thinner. And you can try dry cleaning the brush. You might be able to get it dry enough and clean enough. So there's the thinner. Shake it off. And scrape it against the rack. Now, I'm going to dry. I'm just wiping it on a towel to make sure it's dry. And now, I'm going to lightly blend this with long horizontal strokes. I'm going to come down to about here. And I'm going to dry clean my brush before I go into the yellow. Probably should have started in the yellow and worked my way up. That they don't tell you. Okay, here's the top. Bottom. A hair and a hair. Get out of there. Okay. There is our sky and water. So that was step one. Step two, we're going to make the mountain. We're going to take your knife. We're going to take some mountain mixture, which is phthalo blue and alizarin crimson. So I already got a little bit of blue out there. I'm going to put a little more. You don't need much for this to do the mountain. Basically looking for a dark lavender color, dark purple. Let's see, let's mix this up. So we're going to scrape it together, flip it over and mush it together, scrape it up, flip it over and squish it down and drag it. That way it cleans off as much as it can off the knife. And start at this end, scrape it back up, flip it over, mush it around so it mixes up good. You do that until you think you mixed it enough, and then do it a couple more times. And pull it out and cut across. You'll get a little roll of paint on the edge of it, the edge of the knife. So a little more. I don't know if you can see that. A little roll of paint right on the edge of the knife. Now, we're going to put the top of our mountain right about here. And then I'm just pushing this right into the canvas. Really pushing it in and scraping, and then scrape as much as you can off. Basically just want to stain the canvas. Actually, I think I want to Go like that. Some more. Comes down, and then there's another little thing here. Anything you scrape off, you can use and just fill it in a little bit below it. We're going to be using the brush to pull all the rest out in a minute. Okay. Clean off the knife, get a fresh roll here. Let's just add another little bump right here. It's two. More. There we go. Just to be a little taller. And this is your mountain. You can make it however you want it to be. There we go. I think that one's good. A little different this time. Let's finish off this end. Scrape off all the excess. The more you can get, the better you are. So clean that off. Wipe the knife on a paper towel. Take your brush, and then you want to pull it in the direction of the way the land would or the mountain would run. But you want to be careful not to go over that nice edge on the top. You want to save that edge. So just come in a little below and work your way up to it if you have to. And pull that down and out. Down and out. And this side can actually come down this way. So you can almost plan out your peaks of your mountain. This one ought to be fun. How do I get it in there? So what I'm going to do now, take the good old paper towel, clean off some of this excess paint. Try to get in here tight. Might have to change the shape of the mountain to fit the brush. Redo that first one afterwards. I just wanted to pull that extra paint off. And please remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Helps me out a lot. Okay. There we go. There's our basic mountain. Just want to blend it just a little down the bottom. Okay. Now, just dry clean that. What's next? We're going to add snow. So we're going to put out some titanium white. Again, open up a new tube. This has no oil in it. Titanium white is very, very dry. It usually doesn't have oil in the tube. So I'm going to pull some of that out. And I'm going to use the knife and pull it out flat. Cut through so I have a little roll of paint. Come up to the canvas and very light. I'm holding it just with my 2 fingers. I'm going to touch the canvas and then pull and drag it as light as I can so the paint ends up breaking. I gotta move stuff out of the way. There we go. Perfect. So we're going to touch it to the canvas and then lightly pull it down and away. And voila, the paint breaks. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for that paint to break into little bits. You have all those little holes. And you can come back in if you think you want it. Like I missed the very edge of that. And you just lightly touch it. And it will pull off what it wants. Pull off the knife. Pull this out. Reload it. Let's see this one. Let's put a little more down here. I'm just going to tap, 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 tap till it kind of grabs, and then I'm going to slide. Okay. Let's do this one up here. Touch it. There we go. This is the first part of it. Okay. This edge. There we go. Now I think I'm going to leave this and make this into shadow. Like this peak is throwing the shadow onto here. See if that comes out okay. Remember, these are your mountains, so you do what you want with your mountains. And some more down along here. Just bring it down here. There we go. Right. And this little peak here. Let's give him some color. Come right in there. There we go. That looks pretty good. So we need a shadow color. So we're going to take very little bit of phthalo blue. I mean a very little bit. That's about it. And some of this white. I'm going to mix it together. Go. And take a little roll of paint. And see if I can get in here. Yeah, I like that. Some shadow down onto there. A little more. There we go. Let's get some up in here. Some shadow there. Actually, take a little more of this white. Let's bring this this way some more. Tail. More shadow. Time you add something, you got to add shadow to it. There we go. I think we have a mountain. All right. So, that off. I'm going to take my 1-inch brush, dry clean it really good. I'm going to use this to make a mist along the bottom of the mountain. So this needs to be really clean. Let's give this a shot. Hopefully that's clean enough. So you're going to take your 1-inch brush and you're just going to lightly tap, and I mean lightly, in the direction that the land goes. So along the front of the mountain, I'm going to tap this way. Over on the shadow side, I'm going to tap to the left, to the right, to the left. On this little shadow, it's going to be wherever the brush is, I guess. So just lightly tap so it diffuses it. Just a couple of the corner hairs. Tap, tap, tap. Just so it kind of blurs that edge. Over here, you want to go this way. I'm going to dry clean it again. And I'm going to lightly lift up and kind of fluff it. It helps diffuse it a little more. This way. There we go. I think we got our mountain. All right. What is next? The background. So we need to make a mixture using the knife of phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, and titanium white. This is to make the background trees. And you need a good amount of it. And they don't tell you how much to put out. So let's take a guess. Probably going to use this color going forward too, just darker. Because normally in a painting like this, you start in the background and the color gets darker as you come forward. So the first row of trees would be one color, and then the next one in front of it has to be darker, and then the one in front of that darker even more. So let's give this a shot. So we're going to put out some phthalo blue. Then I'm going to put out about a Hershey's Kiss worth, maybe a little less. And then the same for the crimson. And then just a little bit of titanium white. About half as much. And we'll take a look at the color and see if it's dark enough. So there's the 3. Mix them all up good. Scrape it up. Pull it out. Get it off the knife. Scrape it back up. Flip it. Mush it around. Get it away from the side. That's pretty dark, but it's also pretty light. All right. Hopefully that's enough. Get off. Clean that knife off. Okay, so now we are going to take the 1-inch brush and I'm going to load it in with a lot of color. So we're going to load both sides of the brush with paint. And we're going to wiggle it back and forth. That loads the bristles with a bunch of paint. And then we're going to pull it through. And what it'll do is it'll make the brush into a chiseled edge. Actually, there's more paint than that, it looks like. It's not quite enough. It's the wiggling that gets the paint into the bristles. There we go. There's a nice chiseled edge. So we're going to come up here and we're going to put a row of trees. Let's see, how does he have them in? See, this is where he says to put in a row of trees, but then you have to use a clean brush, so you have to get rid of all this paint. So that's my problem. Make sure this is chiseled again. Let's get these started at least, and I'll figure out what to do. All right, so my first bunch, I think, I'm going to come in from here, and what you do is you just lightly tap as you pull the brush down. You hit the canvas and just barely pull it down. Let me see if I can turn a little bit. So I'm going to go. So you're basically just making the tops of the trees. And vary the height as you go. You can flip the brush over and use the other side. Go back and reload it. Get that chisel again. Let's go about there. Okay, let's load this up again. Chisel. And let's go Chiseled. Down into there. Like that. All right. So now you need to clean the brush because it's loaded with a lot of paint. So I'm not going to clean it. I'm going to keep using it. I'm going to use another clean, dry brush to do this step. I would suggest cleaning the brush and going through that whole. Actually, I'll clean the brush. Let's do what Bob wanted us to do. So I clean all this paint out of the brush because I'm going to make it a little darker too anyway. So I'm going to add more crimson and phthalo blue and no white this time to make it darker. So clean the brush in the odorless paint thinner. Just so people can see, I have a Bob Ross cleaning kit. It has a gallon Ziploc baggie in it with the screen inside that. So it makes it a lot easier to clean. I'm going to make a video on how I take care of my brushes and thinner in the very near future. So keep an eye out for that. All right, so that's rinsed. Shake it off. Give it a clean beating on the rack. All right, here's our clean, dry brush. Now we're going to just tap here along the bottom to make it look like a mist. Just tapping. Tap, tap, tap. Make a mist. Just going to lightly get rid of the tap marks. Pull up. There we go. There's our first line of trees. So now I'm going to take some more phthalo blue and add it to this mix. And some more alizarin crimson, of equal amounts. And I'm going to mix. Mix, mix, mix. Shake it up, flip it over. Okay. One last time. Okay. Scrape that off. Clean off my knife. Okay. Take my brush and do the same thing. We're going to load it with a lot of paint. Wiggle it in there. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Pull, pull. Get it Your chisel means I don't have enough paint. If you don't get that chiseled edge, you don't have enough paint loaded. You need to load more. There we go. So now let's add another row. Let's add, all right. In here. Some more paint out. Wiggle, wiggle. Yeah, let's finish this. Let's go. And let's come in. But like that. That looks pretty good. Okay. So we're going to all right. Gonna do the mist again. Go right at the bottom of this. Lightly tap. Get that mist going. Tap, tap, tap. That mist is what gives the separation of the different layers. I'm just going to pull up a little. There we go. And just blend that out. There we go. I think. Try something. I'd be able to do this without darkening it. Another little. That. And then one over here. Right into that one. Kind of like that. That's what I see. Try to clean my brush again. The other one. Do a little mist. There we go. All right. So next is I'm going to do one more layer, but we're going to add some sap green to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape up all this. I'm actually going to use what's left of that mountain mixture. Scrape all this up. Let's see what I have here. All right, let's add some sap green to it. Yep, use this up, so this should be enough. So put some sap green out. This I'm mixing. It's a real dark green right now. I think that'll be all right for what we want to do. All right. The knife. So now we are going to add one row of this very dark green. Do it right here. Right there. Okay. Something on this side. There we go. So that's another row of trees. Now we're going to use the same color, a little more on the brush, and we're going to pull some of that color down to make reflections. So let's just very lightly pull this down. See, I would have filled that in more. I'm going to do that. What I'm doing is I'm tapping right along the base where the base of the trees would be, just to make sure there's enough color, only because they're not having us blend the bottom. And you'll see what I mean, because now it'll fill it in so it looks, you don't see that pink through there as much. There we go, that's better. So now let's pull some color down. Okay, put some color down. I'm going to very lightly go across. I mean very lightly, because there's a lot of paint on this brush. And it can come right off if you're not light with the touch. And voila, we have some reflections. Okay. So there's our rows of trees. There's our reflections. Pull down. So now you gotta clean the brush and load it to a chiseled edge with titanium white. So I'm gonna clean the brush, because you could definitely not brush clean it, I don't think, enough to do this. Okay. Make sure this is clean. I'm going into white. Shake off the excess. Give it a sting. Cover it back up. Try my brush. So now I'm going to titanium white. Hopefully I got enough out here. So really only need a little. So now you want, it's supposed to be a chiseled edge, so let me put some more out. I'm going to use this to make trunks on the trees. So, bunch of white on here. Give it a wiggle. Wiggle. Pull, pull. There we go. That's a little better. Now we're going to take just the very edge of the brush and use it and pull upward to give the indication at the bottom of these trees that there's trunks there. So I'll start up this end. I'm just going to touch and barely pull up. And you want to make sure you pull it straight up. So you just give the indication that there's some trunks off in the distance. There we go. And if you need to reload your brush, wipe it off first, because it will have picked up some of the color. And you can go back into the white, and it won't be as contaminated. Anyway. More. Go. Tree trunks. Okay. Next, you're gonna take a little bit of liquid white. Take it, and I'm gonna put it. Actually, gonna put it on my palette right here. Just a couple of drops. No, a little more than a couple drops. And you make sure you wipe off the top before you put the cover back on, because the paint will seal the cover and you'll be a tough time getting it off. So now take your small knife, the only one you got, and pull the liquid white out, slice through it so you have a little roll of paint on the top of your knife this time, and you're going to scrape and really dig into the canvas and add a waterline. So you'll touch, and if you put too much, you can go back over it afterwards. Like there, I put too much. So you just work over it a few times. After a minute, it'll almost disappear. Here we go. Let's see, let's put a waterline, right? Oh, I don't want it to be in the back. There we go. We have our waterline. Wipe off the knife. So now need to make a real dark mixture of equal parts of phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, sap green, with no titanium white. So I'm going to take what's left on the palette already and scrape this up. I'm going to use this as the base and just add those colors to this. Now, another thing, you can take a paper towel and clean up some of this work area. This is what's nice about the wax paper. There we go. Can throw this away. I got a little bit of a spot to work on now. Okay. Let's take equal parts of sap green. What we can do is put just little bunches right next to each other. Sap green. And you need a good amount of this because this is basically the rest of the background color that you're going to use. You're going to be using it to make 2 or 3, 4 big evergreen trees and then all of the background color going forward. So mix a good amount of it. Blue. And crimson. Roughly equal parts. I'm going to take leftover paint, use that. Mix this really good. It should almost look black when you look at it. All right, there we go. Knife. I gotta clean the brush, get rid of that white that I used. Okay, there we go. Shake off the excess and then rack it over the rails. All right. Clean, dry brush. I'm going to take and load the brush up again, making a chiseled edge. So load paint on both sides. Do the wiggle. And then with a chiseled edge, we're gonna add an evergreen. No more in there. There we go. Let's say he lives right here. We're gonna tap and give the indication of a top. And then using the very corner of the brush, I'm just gonna tap. Start adding in an evergreen. Going back and forth, left to right. Adding in some branches on each side. Reloading the brush as you go, but make sure you have a lot of paint. Left and right. And I think he's going to come down. I'll let him come down here. There we go, our first evergreen. He lives along the side. All right, let's reload the brush. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. A nice chiseled edge. Chiseled edge. And we're going to put one right here. Just left and right. More paint. Left and right. I'm going to come about there. And one more. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Pull, pull. And chiseled. Let's have one more right here. Big one. I'm just using that edge to make each branch as I go down, left to right, right. And once you get down here, it's just one big blob. So the highlights is what will make it appear to have more branches. This one, I want him to come all the way down here. He's going to be in the front. So there's our evergreens. Now, next, we're going to reload that same dark mixture. Didn't make enough good. Actually, you don't need to make a chiseled edge. What we're going to do is we're going to say our land comes down like so. There we go. That's our land. It's going to cut right across. And just tap and fill all this in with the dark color. Like Bob said, you could put this on with a roller at this point. What I don't understand is they have you put all that water in just to cover it up. Why? I get that it could be for practice, good practice. But why? Okay. Roll that in. Okay. Here we go. There's our dark undercover. Okay. So, what do we got left? Need to give it some. Let me use up the rest of this paint. But then we need to put some trunks And what I'm doing here is I'm pushing up, and it's actually putting in spots of like bushes and grass for underneath that could show up through the highlight. There we go. Okay. So next, trunks. Let me clean this side off a little bit here. And actually use this white. Put that white right there. Scrub this blue off. Now what we need is to make some brown. And to make brown with the colors that we have, you mix equal parts of sap green and alizarin crimson, and it gives you what Bob called Christmas brown. It's a very nice brown. Now we only need a little bit of it since we're just using it for the trunks. So I'm just going to put out a dot of crimson and a dot of the sap green. And I'll mix them two together first. And it should turn into a nice brown. There we go. You can see on the paper it's kind of turning a greenish brown. Let's wipe that off. Now I'm going to take some white and mix it in. Pull that out. Let's go across. I'm going to add some trunks. Now I'm going to take the knife, I'm going to put it down below the top where I want the trunk to go. And I'm just going to make and finish off the very top of the tree and give it a nice point. And then I'm going to turn the knife sideways and tap randomly down where the trunk will be, because it won't all show, so you don't really need to do the whole trunk. So we're just going to tap. Trunk. Let's go over here, give him top. Give him a top. Load some color here. Let's get some random. Oh, not enough. Hello, sunshine. Hello. Um, what do you mean by stick better or blend easier? In this technique, it's wet on wet, and the way it works is a thin paint will stick to a thick paint, but you don't always have to. Like in this case, I'm not thinning the paint down. It's still the same consistency as it normally would be. The palette, I should say, the canvas will just take the paint off the night that it wants. The undercut color will actually pick up the paint. I hope that answers your question. There we go. Okay. And a paper towel. All right. Clean off the knife. So next. There was tree trunks. Highlights. We're gonna highlight the evergreens. So I need some cad yellow. a little more out there because I know we're going to use some more. And some sap green. A little more of that. I think we're going to need more of that too. All right, let's see. So now, need some more liquid white. Actually, give this a shake first. And I need to clean the brush, so let me clean the brush. Now we're going into highlights. We're done with that dark color. It's cleaned up. All right. So I'm gonna go into some liquid white. Use that one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pour a little bit of, yeah. And this is the problem with these containers, is getting them back open once you close them. So pour a little bit of liquid white over here. Off on the brush. So now dip into the liquid white, get a good amount of it on the brush, and go in some cad yellow, a little bit of sap green, a nice greenish color. And now I'm going to come up here, and I'm just going to hold the brush, and I'm going to bend the bristles upwards slightly as I press. So it gives the look of grass almost. And I'm just going to add it. Here's our first bit. Go back in, get some more. Just keep doing this. Here's our first little bit of grass. Reload it. And add another row. But leave some dark here and there in between. You don't want to cover all that dark up. You want some shadow left. Like so. And just keep adding row after row, filling in. Reload your brush as you need. A little extra magic white if you need to add some magic white or liquid white. Like so. And as you do that, push up, you see it leaves these little, almost looks like the top of blades of grass. And then these little dark spots, that's what you want. You don't want to cover them all up. Like Bob used to say, those are your friends. Don't cover up your friends. Some more yellow into this. Let's try. Down like that. Actually, I'm missing out on the bottom just a little bit. Let's see if I can fix this. Too much. Oh, I hate this stand. Yeah. There you go. I think we need a little more right in there. There we go. All right. What's left? Using the dark tree mixture. Sticks and twigs. It says to put some sticks and twigs in, so let's. Yeah, do this too. Can make some grass. It makes it look like there's little pieces of grass growing. That. And then I think it needs some bushes. I think it needs a bush. Right at the base of those trees. Oh, you know what? I didn't highlight the trees. That's what it is. Hang on. Put some yellow out there. That's what I missed. Oh, goodness gracious. Some more yellow, some more green. All right, let's put some highlights on these trees. So we're just gonna, all I did was make a chiseled edge with some liquid white, cad yellow, and green, sap green. So now we're just gonna touch and add some highlights here and there. Some more. I knew I was missing something. There we go. So now, when you're doing trees like this, you do the one in the back first. So I want this one to be in the back. I'm going to lose half of them to that other tree, so we're going to do that half. Go. Just a hair darker, I think. Okay. It's highlighted. Okay. How about I really want a bush. Let's see if I do it like this. No, I'm not gonna. I was gonna add a bush, but I'm not. That's it. This is the basic paint set done. So the only thing left to do is to sign it. Now, the way they say to sign it is to scratch in your name or your signature. So I'm going to try because I usually use red, but I'll give it a shot. I don't like it. I don't like it already. Nope. See that? What can I use? Let's use. Yep, gonna use a normal one. Sure, I gotta use red and sign it in red. So you gotta figure out what number this is too. What number is this? What number is the last two? 64, 65. I did 66, so this will be 67. 67. Wow. Let me thin this red down a little. That's a little better. $20 didn't come out. Took too much green. $25. Okay. What number I say this was? 67? $7. Because actually I got to sign 66. Just so you see, I did this earlier. So there's the beginners that I did on my own. I didn't sign it yet. This one's 67. That'll be 66. 6 and 7. 7. All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed it. you're painting along with me. I hope you did good. Post a picture of your painting if you can. Well, you're very welcome. Like I said, I hope you can paint along with me and you share the picture so we can see how you did. So also, again, please hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like me to paint. If you see an episode you'd like me to try, let me know. I'll put it on my list of paintings to do. And then until next week, I hope you all have a good week, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.